Here I'm going to concentrate on the crop tool within the develop module in Lightroom. While you should always strive to compose your image exactly how you like it in the camera, you will occasionally need to crop images. To find the crop overlay tool, it's the little tiny box right underneath the histogram in the develop module. There are a couple of ways to control this. You can use the angle slider here to move that. Okay. If you notice, when that is active, when you're clicking on your mouse and changing the angle on the slider here, a grid shows vertical and horizontal lines. So in this case, it's really helpful because my goal is to get this to be completely straight rather than skewed. Okay. You might find a little more control by just clicking your mouse or cursor outside of the image and dragging that way. Okay, so I'm going to call this good, and all I would do is go ahead and click on the crop overlay tool, and there it is. One of the really nice things about Lightroom is that this does not permanently crop the image. It crops it for as long as you leave it like that in Lightroom, but you can always go back to the original by going to the import state in the history panel, for example. Okay, but here within the crop tool, there are also some other options. You might want to make an image smaller to hide a certain area of the image, for example, and you can simply click on the arrows and make an image smaller, crop that way as well. This little lock over here where it says original will constrain to the original proportions of the image. If you need to change that, you can go ahead and just unlock it, and that way I could make the image shorter, a square for example. I'm going to undo that by just using the Command Z shortcut. Also here where it says original by the lock, you can crop to other sizes. For example, if you wanted a perfect square, you would choose 1 by 1. A 4 by 5 or 8 by 10, you could choose that option. Notice it's quite different from what comes out of your camera. So I'm just going to go ahead and undo that. You can enter in custom sizes and so forth. For now, I'm going to call this finished and simply click on the crop overlay tool. And there is my cropped image. I'll do this one more time, just the rotate feature here. So I'll go ahead and click on the crop overlay tool. And if I have all of the grid lines up, it wasn't quite as crooked as the other was, but just a little bit. I can go ahead and you'll see that the rotation is very slight. It tells you the angle, negative 0.39, that's degrees, and I'll go ahead and click on crop. I'd like to continue here with just one reminder about cropping. I recommend not cropping more than about 10% of the image at any time. If I hover over the film strip on this image, for example, I can see the original dimensions of 5184 by 34 by 56 pixels. That's straight out of the camera. If I decided in this image that I wanted essentially to completely change the composition of the image to be much more zoomed in, for example, perhaps a little less than that, I could do so. And again, this is not a permanent adjustment within Lightroom, so I haven't lost that original image. But now the cropped size is only 2263 by 1509 pixels. And that would be just fine for something like sharing on social media or even on a website. But if I wanted to print an image like this, I would be really concerned with the resolution of the image if I cropped it very much. So here I've essentially lost the majority of the image resolution. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to the original import. I just wanted to point that out. That concludes this demo on cropping.